Hello and welcome everyone to this live demo session on SAP S4HANA come ABAP on HANA technical trainings. In this live demo session, I will show you the core concepts of ABAP on HANA. We will discuss about a simple demo session on embedded analytics feature of S4HANA. So let's get started this demo session. So as you all know that this demo session is designed for different kinds of profiles currently working in different companies. So as you can see here, different user personas to map yourself in one of the persona and see how is this going to help you in your career as well as your future aspirations for your ABAP on HANA career. So meet Stella Ross. She's an ABAP consultant and she want to embrace the change in the technology to run her program better on HANA. She would like to find the implications of adapting the custom code which she has written over a period of time to S4 HANA in the coming future. Her company is migrating to S4 HANA and our main goal is required to migrate all the custom code to S4 HANA. Then we have Thomas Smith on the right. He's a BW consultant. As you all know, with S4 HANA implementation, there is no separate BW system, and most of the BW consultants now need to work on CDS views. So in the past, you were working with DSOs, info providers, but now we have a single analytic entry point, which is CDS views. So you would like to build CDS views from analytics point of view, whether it is to consume on embedded analytics or analytics cloud, then this course is also going to help you. Then we have Emily Arizona. She's a Scrum lead of ABAP on HANA project. She want to understand the basics of HANA, including also the estimation. So how could she estimate things better for the projects which are running on S4 HANA? Then we have Lyra Keller. She's an SAP consultant and she would like to learn how to build Fiori applications on top of CDS views to exploit the full power and potential of ABAP on HANA system. So if you are one of these consultants, then it makes sense for you to be part of this journey of ABAP on HANA training come S4 HANA. So let's talk about uh, what are all the different phases in which we will be completing this whole journey. So we have a 4-step easy learning process. The first step starts with understanding of SAP HANA and its architecture. Many of you are quite new to SAP HANA world. So it's fine if you're an ABAP developer today with core ABAP programming. You may not have an experience right now on SAP HANA. So we will cover introduction of HANA and its architecture components. We will also learn how to build ABAP on HANA applications and also the tools like Business Application Studio, ABAP Development Tool, Web IDE, and HANA Studio. What these tools are, how to get these tools set up in your computer to get started with the development. As I already mentioned, there is no prerequisite for you to be part of this journey with us because we are going to cover how to set up the required tools as part of the training itself. Then we have phase through where we will cover about learning new ABAP syntax and tooling. So ABAP is also evolving with the NetWeaver layer. We will cover about the topics of new ABAP syntax, new SQL syntax and features like expressions, functions with SQL. We'll talk about some of the integrating frameworks like POPF, IDE, and fuzzy search. In phase 3, you will learn about S4 HANA code conversion with CDS view building on S4 HANA with virtual data modeling, because that plays a very critical role for you to become an ABAP on HANA consultant or an S4 HANA technical consultant. You will learn how to leverage the full potential and power of S4 HANA CDS views, which are built in SAP system, learn extension, building virtual data models with CDS like Cube or analytic queries, and then also migrating your custom code, how to migrate your existing ABAP code to the S4 HANA system. In the last phase, we'll learn complete CDS views with AMDP, OData, and Fiori app building. You will learn how to build Fiori applications on top of CDS views with annotations like Fiori elements, overview pages, and also some part of analytics with embedded analytics in S4 HANA. We will learn the core capabilities of how to push down your logic today to SAP HANA so that you can run 10 times or 90 times much faster. evaluate the performance using different tools like SQLM and SWLT. So let's take our use case today. So in the current ongoing scenarios, I would like to introduce a demo company which is called Medcare. They are in 40 years of medical services. So you are working as an S4HANA consultant with one of biggest hospital chains in US. Let's say the name of that company is Medcare. Now they have a data of hospitals bed stored in S4HANA system, and their ground staff wants to know the real-time status for these beds per county and per year. Now, what we propose as a solution is, as an S4HANA consultant, it's my duty to propose an embedded analytics application built on S4HANA with this Medcare data staff beds data. So we will be experiencing how to do this end to end in the system with the live demo in next section. So what is going to be our approach to achieve this? So watch out, how are we going to approach this requirement and build this real-time use case in this next 30 minutes of demo session. I will also open up the line, as it's a live demo, for all of you to ask live questions in the class. If you're unable to connect to the live session, kindly look at the description of this video to find the link to join the live class. Okay, so let's see what is going to be our approach. So as we already have a database table which stores the information about hospital beds in form of a row and column two-dimension matrix. Now what we're going to do is we are going to cover a new CDS view. This is the CDS view I will be creating. I will not explain in this demo session how I got to the level of building CDS views, like required tools like ABAP development tool on Eclipse and all. This we will cover in our very next class, how to set up your development environment. But I would presume that development environment is all in place. Considering that in mind, I will proceed with the demo. Of course, we have a lot to learn to reach to this level of CDS views in our course. So this view is going to be of type a cube view, because I would like to aggregate all the granularities of transaction and master data at this level. Then moving next, I would like to create an analytic query. This is again going to be a CDS view of analytic query type. And from here, finally, you will see the data will expose out. Now, at this point of time, once the data is exposed out, what I will finally do is I'm going to consume it in a Fiori application. So I will have Fiori app, and this Fiori app is going to then consume it. So what I will do is, rather building a new Fiori app, I'll show you a flavor of SAP Embedded Analytics, which is what it, according to its name, it's embedded as part of S4HANA system. So you have an S4HANA system, you can right away start using embedded analytics on top of your CDS views. There is no need of third-party tool installation or configuration. You can consume them right away. There are 5 pillars of embedded analytics. The one of the pillar is query browser, which is what I'm going to show you today. So to be able to build this whole scenario, the prerequisites are, you have to have a connection to S/4HANA system. You have to have the required setup of ABAP development tools. You have to have also the SAP BR employee role should be assigned to your user. Yeah, all these are prerequisites, which is what I'm not going to touch upon. We will discuss all of this in our training session number 1, where I'm going to talk about these prerequisites, how to get them working in your own machine. But right now, as presuming that we have all in place, I will get started with this demo session to just give you an overview of how ABAP on HANA or S4 HANA system may work. So let's get started building our first CDS view of cube type on top of our database table. So I'll switch over to the system at this point. So this is my development environment. As you can see, it looks very much similar to SCAT development environment if you've already worked with ABAP Workbench. On the left hand side, you will see here an tree view, which shows all the possible development objects on the left side. Yeah. And then when you click on a particular development object, on the right hand side you're going to see the code view where you can actually write your code. So this is your main canvas area which you will be working with. So now what I'm going to do next is I will go ahead and create a new CDS view on my local objects. So let me come back here. I'm going to right click and say new, other ABAP repository objects, search for core data services and data definition. So I'm creating my first CDS view here. I will call it as ZETS underscore composite view, and I will say this is my beds data. So this is my composite view over here. So we are creating now a new composite view on CDS layer. This is what is going to expose the data out as a cube view. So let's go ahead and do that. So now I'm going to come back, say composite view. It's going to be my transaction data. And let's click on finish. You can choose next to show you some of the options. You can put it in a transport request to send it to your quality system. I'm going to discuss that a little bit more in details in coming classes. And we have a variety of templates to choose from. We're going to discuss most of these templates, like what is a CDS table function, CDS security, CDS association. It's a full-fledged CDS training. CDS is pretty big. So let's finish this up for now. And let me go ahead and show you now what actually system produce when you generate your first CDS. So what system will produce now is something like a block of code automatically, which includes something called annotations. So what is an annotations? So when it comes to CDS views are called semantically rich data models. Yeah, we call them semantically rich data models. So these semantically rich data models will actually be called because it has a concept of annotations. So all the annotations starts with at the rate of, yeah, and that's where we're going to put our content in there. So these annotations have very special meaning when it comes to CDS. They will drive your functionality. They will decide what to generate or not generate behind the scene in the system. So I'm going to put here the view name. Let me go ahead and do that. So just give some name, ZATS CO beds. And now I'm going to choose my data source, which is essentially my database table. I can also use here other CDS views. Maybe we're going to see little complex examples towards our session number 14, 15, and 16, where I'm going to show you building view on view or extending a standard view provided by SAP. But for now, let's go ahead and put the table name. So Z hospitals. So I have a database table which I've already created, which has the hospitals data. Let me go ahead and select that. So you can see ZATS hospitals, that's my table name. I can do a code completion using control space. And I'm going to go back and say I want to include all the fields from my database table. Now this is exactly now a replica of my database table as a view, as a data model. So I have the state here, county, the bed type, and also the number of beds, population, and in which year how many beds were there inside of that hospital. So now what I'll do is I'll go back and add new annotations. So you can see these are all the different annotations I was talking about, which makes your CDS very special as compared to DDQs. And this is one fundamental difference between your classical SE11 views and CDS views, because CDS views are capable of defining semantically rich data models. You can give in these different annotations, and that's going to give you a nice, beautiful data model. So now I'm going to go back at the rate of, and I will provide an annotation called analytic data category as cube. So those who come from BW background, you must be aware already something called a DSO. DSO is your data source object, which is what a most fine granular data source, which consists of data, transaction master at a granular level. So this is what exactly it does behind the scenes. Is going to create a DSO. However, if you're not from BW background, it's fine. It's completely fine. Just understand we are creating our first CDS of cube type, which is going to aggregate the data. Now I will also say that I wanted to define analytics data extraction enabled as true. And now I'll just save this up. Let me activate this, and system is going to create my CDS view. Nice. So I can test this right away by pressing F8, and you can see I've got my CDS working. I can find out a quick filtering here by looking at, let's say I want to look at only the beds which are of type ICU beds or acute beds or psychiatric. I can always do that. I say ICU beds, and I can filter over here. I can also say I wanted to just see it only for the ones which are in a particular year. For example, 2019 they were added, and you can see these are all the number of beds per county per state of ICU types of beds. Yeah, that's a quick way you can test. You can't debug CDS views because this is not a code. However, we have a CDS table function in place which you can actually debug because there's a capability we can add a custom code in it. All right, as a next step, I'm going to build a view. Look at my diagram. So we had a Q view just now, and I'm going to create an analytic query view on top of this view. So let's use this as a data source now and define our next view. So CATS consumption view, this is going to be of type, just say beds. It's going to be my consumption view. What is this terminology called consumption view and all? We're going to talk about it in chapter number 17, where we'll understand the VDM process of S4 HANA. So for now, it's fine. I'll proceed with this. Quickly say finish. Let me give a name of the view which it generates behind the scene. And I will choose my last created view here as a source. I do control space, save this up. But what we wanted to do now, we wanted to showcase the sum of beds and sum of population per bed type, per county, per state. So I got to go back and add a little bit of small annotation here called default aggregation, and I will say hashtag sum. So this is basically system is going to do an aggregation for us. It's going to count the total sum of population and beds over here. Just activate that. I'm going to go to consumption view, and we are good with this one. Let's add also here an annotation to mark this as an analytic query, because SAP's S4HANA analytic engine is going to understand that out of the box. So analytics query is true. And we will also mark this expose for analytics extraction enabled as true. Superb. Now I would like to show you one nice thing. I can also test this view at this point after activating this, but you will observe that possibly it's showing the labels as from my field names. But if I don't want to use these labels precisely, I want to give my own labels for the column names, I can always do that. So I can come here and I can say for state, I will choose at the rate end user text dot label, and I can say state. This is a nice feature. This is why we call it a semantically rich data model. We have a possibility to add things over here. So you say country, say bed type, can say beds, population, and let's say year. I can add all these annotations. You will see in a minute the impact of these annotations once I build an analytic dashboard on top of embedded analytics. So that's all. We are done. Congratulations, you've successfully created your CDS analytic query, which is now what system does behind the scenes. It creates an info provider, those who come from BW, but just ignore it in case you're not from BW. What you're going to do now is going to consume this data right away in embedded analytics. So I'll switch over to my Fiori Launchpad, and I'll go to the SAP's embedded analytics application called Query Browser. This is a standard application delivered by SAP to experience the embedded analytics over here. And I'm going to put a search for my VU over here, and then system is going to search and looking for an analytic query which we just developed in the system. And in a minute, you will see that it will pop up on my screen. So there you go. You can see now my analytic query is ready. So I can click on that and I say, please open for analysis. And now without any programming or doing any sorts of scripting, I am capable of defining analytics. So you can see now bed type, country, in-year, state. Do you notice that these were exactly the annotations which we have provided while developing our CDS view? So all these annotations are doing their magic. You remember we've given aggregation in the composite view here as sum. So you can see it's summing up the total beds and population. Now what I can do is I can go back and I can say I'm not interested to look at population. So I can right click and I can always remove a measure from display. It shows only the beds. And maybe I would like to show total beds per county or total beds per year, how they were added. So I just add it and voila, you can see now in year 2018 is when I've added the maximum number of beds in my hospital chain. Yeah. So you can also sort data. You can always do this sorting. I'm interested to find out only the top five numbers. I can always also do that, but maybe let's do little interesting. Maybe here I'm going to add, let's say the state wise, how many beds are there per state wise. And that's a state wise count now here for the number of beds. Now, there is another nice feature. Let's say it's analytics. So you can definitely go back and see this view here, and wow, look at this chart. It generates everything out of the box for you and shows the total number of states in a nice bar chart. You can go to the settings, chart settings, and you can say I'm not interested into maybe a pie chart. So I would go that and I can say okay, and there you go, you get a nice pie chart out there. Maybe I'm only interested to look at the data of top 5 states or top 10 states. No problem. You can right click on the measure and say define my conditions. And look at this power here. You don't have to write any ABAP code for this dynamic filtering. You have a slicing and dicing of data right into the SAP system without even doing a connection to a BW system or hiring a third-party tools and expert. You can do it right away. In fact, your business user can do that. So now I can go back and say, please show me only the top N. Yeah, look at the kind of conditions they offer here. It's humongous and it's all no coding. And I can say I'm interested only on top 10. Show me those ones. Say okay, and boom, you can see now I've got top 10 states for their number of beds just in a form of a table. You can just look at the chart as well in a maximize mode. You can see both the chart and the table, and there is a nice export feature to an Excel sheet. You can zoom in the data. You can just click on the data to see the number for each of the state, like Pennsylvania or maybe Ohio, New York City. You can always do that drill down. You can also go back further, swap the axis of the chart. You can see the totals here. I wanted to add a total by position and all. It can do a grand total of beds for these top 10 states, and I can also export this data, and now I can create this as an email or as a new tile on my own homepage. So let me save this as a tile. Maybe I'll say my analytic query. I'm going to say subtitles anubhavtrainings.com. I'm going to say ABAP on HANA demo, and I click on OK. Cool. And let's go back to my home page right away. And I can just go out right on my home page of Fiori Launchpad, which is what the central access point for all the business users to access your applications. And I just have to go back to the home and just say refresh. So now you got your tile on the Launchpad homepage. I can click on it and there you can directly jump in to the same design query screen where you see exactly the same filters and everything is being applied here. Yeah, so you can quickly jump over to these things. You can also additionally do filterings. For example, I'm only interested on the bed types of ICU in New York City. I can say go, and then it's going to show me here the data only for New York City alone. Can say go, and it's filtering the data accordingly. So that's a nice feature. You can also see here different measures, rows, all the data is available to you. You see the population of New York City and the beds which system is showing. You can exclude measures. You can again do the same set of things which we just did. Now I'm also interested to just look at only in New York City the different beds in different counties. So you can also remove this measure maybe and switch over to a chart view. Maybe I'm going to use a chart of type donut, maybe an area chart, and I would like to show it per county in New York City. So it will show now all the data per county. So maybe let me choose it as a bar chart, and you can see different counties in New York City, which county has highest number of beds. Yeah, so you can always do this kind of things in the system. Awesome. So I hope you enjoyed this demo session on SAP S4HANA come ABAP on HANA training. Of course, for detailed training, you must subscribe our training on anubotrainings.com. Now, this training is also designed to keep in mind the ABAP on HANA certification for a specialist. We're going to guide you through the complete process of how can you get certified, also the content in terms of how the coverage will be. So this is completely in line with the expectations. Then some of the frequently asked questions from your end would be, do I need to have any prior knowledge on HANA? No, we will cover SAP HANA Foundation as part of this training. You are absolutely new to SAP HANA, it's fine. So how much ABAP knowledge I need to have? So just need to know data dictionary, internal tables, basic syntax of ABAP, and function modules. If these four topics you are already aware of, then you're good for the ABAP related part in this training. But this training is not purely ABAP. We will have a lot of new stuff. For example, we will do stuff related to other things. For example, CDS views and all that has no requirement to know ABAP in prior. So only 30% of this course would require ABAP knowledge. Rest all 70% of the course doesn't need any ABAP knowledge at all. I'm a BW or BI consultant. Can I learn ABAP on HANA? Yes, you can. Because with S4 HANA embedded analytics, CDS views are very important as you've already seen in the demo today. How much deep knowledge I need on OOPS, ABAP? Basics of classes, interface, object, if you know, that's good. You don't need to know OOPS ABAP, you just need to know basics of OOPS. What about server access? Yes, we can arrange you a server access if you don't have one. I would recommend you to use your company server, but if it's not there, it's fine. I'm going to guide you. There is a dedicated session number 2, where I'm going to discuss about server access more in detail. Now, which version of S4 HANA we are going to use? So we will use 1909, and now I'm going to use 2020 also. So yeah, so the 2020 is the version which we'll use on HANA 2.0. How much of this course would we spend time on CDS? So CDS is about 40% of this course, which is completely new and same for any ABAP or non-ABAP developer. You're going to learn that the significant amount of time we're going to spend on that. Do we need any prior OData service experience? No. I will share also a complimentary OData session with you throughout this training. Can I also take this course in video mode if timing doesn't suit me? Yes, you can. Most of you, those the timing is not suitable, you can go with video mode training and follow along with the classes. What tools are we going to learn and doing things? We will use especially the ADT ABAP development tool. I'm going to show installation of ADT in next class. So stay tuned. Also, we will learn BAS and WebID tool for Fiori development on S4HANA. So I hope I was able to solve most of your questions, also some of your questions. For more details and subscribing this training, feel free to drop us an email on contact@anubhavtrainings.com and we'll be able to help you. If you've already subscribed it, don't worry, you're going to get the meeting invite. You can also check your blog access. We have already given you the blog access. You can just go back and check that. With that, once again, thank you so much. That's a wrap of today's demo session. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay watching the channel for more interesting videos like this. Subscribe on this channel, hit the like button, share it with your colleagues if they are interested to also be part of the training together with you, because sharing is caring. Thank you so much once again. See you in the next class. Have a nice day. Goodbye.